So, every company out there is racing to adopt AI, right? But here's the thing. Most of them are kind of flying blind when it comes to security. Today, we're going to walk through an amazing 10-chapter guide that gives you the blueprint for building an AI security training program that actually works for your organization. So to really get the philosophy behind this, let's start with a word from the creators themselves, Virtualization Options LLC. They say, and I quote, "This tutorial from Virtualization Options LLC offers guidance on our methodology for developing a tailored AI security training program for organizations. Our goal is to manage risks, reduce vulnerabilities, and significantly enhance productivity. This process ultimately leads to the creation of a realistic and effective training program." So, what's the big takeaway there? This isn't about just checking a box for compliance. It's about a deep, systematic look at how your people actually use AI in their day-to-day jobs. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? AI is this incredible engine for business growth, but it also cracks open a Pandora's box of brand new security risks. So the real challenge is, how do you put it the right guardrails without totally killing the innovation that AI promises? Well, solving that exact puzzle is what this whole guide is about. Okay, so let's dive into what we'll call Chapter 1, understanding this new security challenge. What really makes AI risks so different? Well, the data shows this huge, kind of scary disconnect between how fast we're adopting AI and how slow we are to actually govern it. First up, get a load of this number, 73%. That's the percentage of organizations that have zero formal policies for using generative AI. Just let that sink in for a second. Almost 3/4 of companies are handing their employees these incredibly powerful tools with absolutely no rules of the road. That is a massive, unmanaged risk right there. And when there are no official rules, what do you think happens? Yup, this happens. 61% of employees start using unauthorized AI tools, what we call shadow AI. Look, they're not trying to cause trouble. They're just trying to get their jobs done faster and better. But in the process, they're feeding sensitive company data into unvetted platforms, creating these huge security blind spots. Now, let's add one more critical piece to this puzzle. 45% of all security incidents involve human error. It's almost never malicious. It's usually just an honest mistake. And this is precisely why effective targeted training isn't just a nice idea, it's one of the most essential defenses you have in your arsenal. And this slide, this right here, captures the single biggest mindset shift you need to make. For decades, security was all about building a fortress to keep the bad guys out. But with AI, the biggest threat might not be a hacker from the outside. It's often your own team, trusted, authorized employees who can unintentionally cause a massive problem simply because no one ever taught them how to use these new tools safely. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is huge. Where do we even begin to tackle this? Well, that brings us to Chapter 2 of the guide, which is all about laying the groundwork. It introduces a 5-phase assessment framework, and this is really the engine that drives the whole process. We'll be breaking down each phase in future explainers, by the way. And here's that framework. You can see the logic, right? It's so smart. It starts at the 30,000-foot view with an organizational analysis and then drills all the way down to the ground level, looking at specific job tasks. It's only after you know who is using what and how that you can properly assess the risks, figure out the training gaps, and then finally define the scope of your program. It's a clear roadmap from discovery to action. Now, a super critical point the guide makes is that this can't just be an IT project that you do in a silo. Nope. To get this right, you've got to build a coalition, assemble your allies. You need the execs for support and budget, department heads who know the real-world workflows, and you absolutely have to talk to the end users who can tell you what's actually happening on the front lines. Without all these voices, your program is pretty much doomed from the start. Okay, so you've done your analysis and you've found dozens, maybe hundreds of potential risks. Where on earth do you start? You use a simple but really powerful tool like this risk matrix. It forces you to ask 2 basic questions for every risk. How likely is this to happen? And if it does, how bad will it be? This instantly helps you triage and shows you which fires you need to put out first, those critical ones that demand your immediate attention. So once that groundwork is laid, the next chunk of the guide, we're talking chapters 3 through 5, is all about application. This is where we take that framework and put it to work, starting at the department level and then drilling all the way down to individual employees. For example, let's take HR. They're sitting on a mountain of super sensitive employee data. For them, the biggest risks aren't about financial fraud, they're about things like privacy violations or accidentally using an AI hiring tool that introduces illegal bias. You see, generic security training would completely miss these points. Their training has to be laser-focused on their unique threats. Now, let's pivot to the finance department. The risks here, totally different. It's all about over-trusting an AI-generated forecast that leads to a terrible investment. Or maybe failing to spot fraud because the team doesn't understand the AI model's blind spots. For them, training has to be all about promoting healthy skepticism, validation, and critical thinking. And for the legal team, the stakes are incredibly high. I mean, imagine a lawyer pastes confidential client info into a public AI tool to get a quick summary. They could accidentally waive attorney-client privilege. That is a catastrophic, career-ending mistake. Their training has to go way beyond data security and into deep professional ethics. And all of this deep analysis, from the whole organization down to a specific department, it all leads to this: the individual learning profile. This is the antidote to that boring one-size-fits-all training that everybody hates. Instead, it's a custom-tailored plan that focuses only on what a specific employee needs to know for their unique role. It's so much more efficient and way more effective. So, you've done all the hard work. You've done the analysis, you know the risks, you know the training gaps. But let's be honest, insights sitting in a report are useless without action. So the final part of this guide is all about turning that intelligence into a concrete plan you can actually get funded and rolled out. This is where you have to stop being an analyst and start being a storyteller. To get your executives to write a check, you can't just give them a list of scary risks. You have to build a compelling business case. That means putting a dollar amount on those risks, showing the return on investment for the training, and laying out a clear step-by-step plan. It's how you turn your research into real-world resources. And this final slide really brings it all together. It shows the entire path from A to Z. You assemble your team, you plan the assessment, you execute it, you analyze the results, you define the training you need, and finally, you get that all-important buy-in. It's a complete roadmap, and we'll be diving deep into each of these steps in our future explainers. So that's our high-level look at this really powerful methodology. It gives you the structure you need to turn that vague, anxious feeling about AI risk into a concrete, effective training program. The only question left is the one you see right here. Is your organization ready to take that first step?